Okay, our focus, of course, today is on this big verdict that has been delivered in the cricket IPL case by former retired Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, Justice R.S. Lodha. Let's give you the 5 big takeaways first of this verdict in the IPL scandal. Number 1, Chennai Super Kings has been suspended from the IPL for 2 years after its owner, Gurunath Meiyappan, was found to be engaged in betting. Team Rajasthan Royals has also been suspended for 2 years after one of its owners, Kundra, was found to be engaged in betting. India Cements, which owns the Chennai Super Kings franchise, has been barred from participating in the IPL. Remember, N. Srinivasan, former board president, is the chairman of the CSK franchise. The Supreme Court appointed committee has also imposed a life ban on former BCCI chief N. Srinivasan's son-in-law Gurunath Meiyappan, who was found guilty of betting. Rajasthan Royals Raj Kundra has also been banned for life from cricket for similar reasons. Just listen in first to what Justice Lodha had to say.
The committee accordingly imposes following sanctions on Mr. Gurunath Meiyappan. 1. He is declared ineligible for participation in the sport of cricket as explained in the Anti-Corruption Code for the maximum period of 5 years under Article 2.2.1. 2. He is suspended for life from the activities as explained in Article 7.5 under Level 4, first offence of Article 2.4 of the Code of Conduct. 3. He is suspended for life from being involved in any type of cricket matches under Section 6, Rule 4.2b, read with J of the operational rules. The above sanctions shall run concurrently and commence from the date of this order. On totality of all relevant factors and after weighing them carefully, the committee imposes following sanctions on Mr. Raj Kundra. 1. He is declared ineligible for participation in the sport of cricket as explained in Anti-Corruption Code for the maximum period of 5 years under Article 2.2.1. 2. He is suspended for life from activities as explained in Article 7.5 under Level 4, first offence of Article 2.4 of the Code of Conduct. 3. He is suspended for life from being involved with the BCCI in any type of cricket matches under Section 6, Rule 4.2b, read with J of the operational rules. The above sanctions shall run concurrently and commence from the date of this order. The committee proposes to impose sanction on India Cements franchisee under Section 6, Rule 4.2c of the operational rules by suspending it from the league for a period of 2 years. The order accordingly, the period of suspension shall commence from the date of this order. The committee imposes sanction on Jaipur IPL franchisee under Section 6, Rule 4.2c of the operational rules by suspending it from the league for a period of 2 years. The period of suspension shall commence from the date of this order.
And reactions have been coming thick and fast. Most people have hailed the verdict as a positive step towards ensuring accountability in the BCCI. This is what Sourav Ganguly, former Indian captain, had to say.
Committee appointed to decide the punishment, and they felt that's the way to go forward. So it's a Supreme Court judgment, the highest authority in India, and we just have to deal with it.
What's your sort of reaction as somebody who's been heavily involved in Indian cricket as to what this means for the game in India and the game globally?
Obviously, it's not a very good news for the IPL, but I've always believed that few wrong things here and there doesn't make the entire tournament bad. And I hope the IPL recovers, because it's not just about the off-field news, but also it's the cricket as well, which has attracted players from all around the world and made T20 cricket into such a great platform. So hopefully they will recover, and hopefully we'll get IPL back on track.
Can we come back onto the... This is the committee.
Can I just ask one further question? Sourav, you had
chairman of the ICC today, who's obviously very closely associated with one of the teams that's been banned. Was he asked about this, and if so, what was his response?
No, he wasn't asked about this. I don't think the meeting started at 9:30, so we had the news by then. So there's no discussion about it.
Okay, the big question that we're going to raise tonight and will be the focus of our coverage. Has the IPL cleanup really begun? Has the cleanup of Indian cricket really begun? That's what we're going to ask right at the top here on this special. Joining me now will be several guests. Shailendra Singh is the Joint Managing Director of Percept. He's someone who's played the game and who's been involved in the branding of the game as well. Gopal Jain, Senior Lawyer and again a cricket enthusiast, is joining me. Boria Majumdar, Consulting Editor Sports, has been with us through the day at India Today. Nikhil Chopra, former Indian cricketer, will be joining me in a moment. And Kunal Pradhan, the Deputy Editor of India Today, who also writes on cricket, is with us. Appreciate all of you joining us. But before I come to each of you, I want to go to Kirti Azad, because of all the former Indian cricketers, no one has spoken out more strongly against the way the BCCI and the IPL has functioned than Kirti Azad. Listen to Kirti when I spoke to him a short while ago. What is it that you want to tell us? That you told us so, that there was something wrong with the IPL and it needed to be changed?
My stand's been vindicated. I've been discussing this in Parliament since 2009. And once you took the IPL to South Africa, violating all norms, I had been talking about it, that there were big problems with the IPL. I'm happy with the verdict that has come in. But I'm not certain whether it will at all stop in the BCCI. Because if the intentions were to clean the game, the BCCI had appointed a two-member committee, retired judges,
yes,
who had exonerated these people who have been indicted now. And if at all, let's forget that, if at all the BCCI was sincere, once you had the Justice Mudgil Committee report indicting these people, they should have taken immediate action against these.
No, but do you believe today anything will change, or do you believe that this will also be used to settle internal political scores, that the ruling group will believe that Srinivasan has been cornered, they'll be happy and life will continue as normal? Is that your worry, your concern?
Rajdeep, tell me, where is the ruling and where is the opposition? It's United Alliance, United in Corruption Alliances for position. All those who had lost the elections, AGM last election, are in plum posts. Either they are chairman of the commissioner of the IPL, or the chairman of the finance committee, or the disciplinary committee. So
say that again. United in Alliance,
United in Corruption and Alliances for Position.
United in Corruption,
because there is no opposition and no ruling. Therefore,
do you believe this verdict will change anything? Two teams have been suspended.
I don't think so.
Do you believe the IPL must be removed from the purview of the BCCI? It must be completely brought under some kind of an independent corporate entity.
Why don't they come under the RTI? My simple question.
That's the BCCI.
Yes. Why didn't they support the National Sports Development Bill? There were conflicts of interest. Even Omar Abdullah, if you remember, his father was sitting there. He was a president of the Jammu and Kashmir Cricket Association. Had said it's conflict of interest. You had a law minister sitting there whose son is still is the lawyer for BCCI. They had spent 60,000 rupees legally last year, 60 crores, I beg your pardon, and they have a budget of 100 crores this year.
Justice Mudgil is saying this is Act 1, Scene 1, expect more. Justice Lodha report will also be looking at the restructuring of the BCCI.
That's fantastic.
What you have seen today is only the punishment meted out to IPL teams. This is Act 1, Scene 1.
Exactly, but then you will have so many protests coming in from within the BCCI to stop this somehow or the other. Otherwise, why that two-panel committee exonerating?
Are you saying, no, but do you really think that the BCCI now has a leg to stand on after today? Justice Lodha will look at conflicts of interest as well.
Sir, BCCI is above the law of the land. What has happened to the violation of the RBI norms of the country? Have you seen the Yashwant Sinha committee report? The 38th standing committee report on finance on IPL?
Yes.
Rajdeep, you and I were together when this issue of match fixing came up in 1999, right?
Yes.
We did interviews together.
Yes.
I came up to you, spoke to you when I raised this issue when Hansi Crony had accepted the fact that he had taken money.
Yes.
Even Shane Warne had accepted the fact.
Yes.
Those players were banned. CBI inquiry was done. And till 2007, nothing happened. It was quiet. 2008 IPL started. It says India ka Tyohar. I object to this. Because India ka tyohar is not slapping when Harbhajan Singh slaps.
Let's be clear. Kirti Azad, you are taking now an extreme position. As if the IPL is responsible for all the ills of Indian cricket.
It's no. Those who are running it.
Let's be clear.
No, cricket is not bad. Cricket is a beautiful game. I love it.
So that's why I'm saying let's take IPL out of the BCCI's purview. Let IPL become an independent, run independent like the English Premier League is run.
Let me say this. Let those people run the game who have time. They don't go and depose and say we don't have time, so we didn't know what was happening. Ignorance of law is no excuse. When you have great people with knowledge who have taken the oath in the name of the Constitution as ministers. If you remember when this happened in 2009, there were 6 politicians involved in that time. And they can't say that everything Lalit Modi was doing. I'm not devil's advocate. But I would simply say, who was signing the checks?
Okay, so strong words coming in from Kirti Azad saying the BCCI needs a complete cleanup from top to bottom, in the words of Kirti Azad. Now, Sundar Raman, the CEO of the IPL, has also spoken. Let's just listen in to what he had to say on the verdict passed by Justice Lodha.
Release, and we'll follow whatever is there as per the press release.
Also, the Lodha panel said that further investigation is going to take place into your matter pertaining to your role in the IPL sport fixing scandal. So, what do you reckon at this point of time, because of the stringent order that's come through? Is it a case of you probably looking to quit before that?
As I understand, the Lodha panel at the time of pronouncing the order made it clear that because of the change in the investigating officer, the report of the investigative officer, Mr. Priyadarshi, is still not submitted. So I will wait as per what I've been given as the timelines to them.
But what are the options available ahead of the IPL Governing Council or the IPL, because you're the CEO? We just want to understand in terms of, would the players go into action? What happens to the two-player team?
BCCI will take a decision. They have given a press release to that effect.
Thank you.
Okay, so but the big question, is this really then going to result in the cleanup of the IPL, or is it simply restricted to these 2 franchises? That's the big question. I want to come to my panelists. I want to come to you, Shailendra Singh, first, because let's be clear. The branding of the IPL has taken a big hit today. Advertisers like yourself, or those who have worked closely with companies that have been involved with the IPL, will you think twice, or do you believe the branding of IPL is not touched by the fact that 2 franchises are suspended because their owners are found guilty of betting?
I think, Rajdeep, controversy in the past has actually helped building the IPL brand because it became really glamorous and cool. But this controversy is a serious dent. I mean, it's wounded IPL in a manner like never before. And I personally believe, and professionally, that 50% of the brand equity and its financial value will be diminished. This will also seen by advertisers, corporates, broadcasters, etc., as a golden opportunity to renegotiate. Because I truly believe IPL and the cricket sport is not going anywhere. Governments will change, administrators will disappear. The sport cannot die. But certainly, what a shame. And I personally believe that this has happened because there is no accountability. Today, BCCI, just like the way the Indian government is held on scams, guilty of their code of conduct, nobody in BCCI is going to be held guilty for this thing, which I think is anti-national. It's just not a simple spot fixing or gambling issue. No, they have molested our only single largest sport and completely made us shameful today. I think it's disgusting and horrible what has happened, and unfortunately no voice from BCCI is defending their position or explaining it. So I think the IPL brand is seriously hurt, and I don't see a doctor soon sort of healing it up.
The doctor who's not healing it up is perhaps because no one really wanted to do anything about it. Everyone in a sense was involved. Everyone in a sense was involved in some way or the other because of the nature of the relationships in the Board of Cricket for Control in India. No, the question is this. There were private organizations like yourself which were dealing with the BCCI. Did you tell the BCCI that it's time you became more accountable? Did you all raise these issues with the BCCI in the past? Or was it simply a nice, convenient, cozy relationship?
Rajdeep, you will find... Yeah. No, Rajdeep, you will find this really fascinating. I mean, I've been closely responsible for raising close to $1 billion in Indian cricket in 25 years. I used to stand with envelope for bids. The last time we only had 2 bidders for the team sponsorship, Sahara and Airtel. I personally carried both the envelopes. That means there was no third bidder. Guess what? I wasn't even allowed to enter the building of BCCI. They told me to hand over the envelope. The man who was bringing the money and the brands was actually made to stand in the parking lot. That is the arrogance of BCCI. They completely believe they're above the law. I agree with Kirti Azad, and I truly believe that the constitution has to be questioned of BCCI, and this whole crap system of, you scratch my back and I scratch your back has to disappear surely.
The question then, Gopal Jain, is has Justice Lodha put the BCCI on notice? It's not just about 2 franchises. He's put the entire cricket administration on notice. You will now be accountable. You can't be run like a private club. You will have to be run now like a society which is accountable to the people and possibly to shareholders.
Yes, it's like IPL clean bowled by the Supreme Court committee. For the first time, we have effective punishments being meted out, which means that the due process of law will come and catch hold of those who have broken the rules and regulations. And as you rightly said, this is a starting process because their work is not over. They're going to look at ways and means of, restructuring the BCCI, looking at conflict issues. And if evidence comes their way that there are others who are involved as well, the same kind of punishment could be meted out to them. So this really is the starting point and a benchmark, and it's an advance notice or warning to the others that in case your house is not in order and we find that you also violated the rules and regulations, similar form of punishment will be meted out to you.
Boria, you've been speaking.
He has put them on a big notice.
Boria, you've been speaking to the judges. Do you get a sense that Justice Lodha is determined to fix this problem that goes beyond just these 2 franchises? Is he ready, for example, to end all conflicts of interest in the BCCI? Ask for a new election procedure in the BCCI. Is he ready to go that far to the point where he confronts the BCCI on its very structure?
100%. I am making it absolutely clear, Rajdeep, on your show that that is the determination. Having spoken to them, having spoken to Advocate Gopal Shankar Narayan, I can tell you that this is just the start. This is Act 1, Scene 1, as we have said on India Today, right through the day, and Justice Mudgal agreed. Wait for what happens to Sundar Raman. Wait for what happens to the BCCI. Unless they see the writing on the wall, they will now be dealt a fatal blow from which they will be unable to come back. Conflict of interest, financial irregularity, whether or not administrators can have any kind of commercial interest in the workings of tournaments like the IPL, all of these issues will come. The constitution will be fundamentally changed, whether or not there should be, the state associations will come under the parameter, the purview of Justice Lodha's committee. The days of BCCI being a cozy club is over. The single biggest legacy of this will be the fact that BCCI turned from a private body into a public body accountable to the public of this country, made by the Supreme Court and Article 226. That is what Mr. Srinivasan and his cohorts will have to live with, that they've killed the bonhomie and the backslapping that they enjoyed for the last 30 years.
That's precisely the problem, Kunal. Many believe that at the end of the day, the cynics will believe that Mr. Srinivasan will continue in some form as the ICC president, that the existing board will not really want to rock the boat beyond a point. This judgment is to some extent rocking the boat. How far do you believe that this judgment will actually go in changing those cozy relationships that Boria speaks about? This you scratch my back, I scratch yours culture, is that over? Is it now over that you can't sweep any more allegations of betting, allegations of cronyism, allegations of conflict of interest under the table?
See, Rajiv, I don't think we can take a very extreme position and say what is going to happen, simply because the entire nature of the BCCI is built on these cozy relationships. The reason why powerful people go to the BCCI is because it is a place which is completely compromised, where if you fix the 32 member voting system, you can get away with anything. So the BCCI is going to fight tooth and nail to try and preserve it in some manner or form. In 2000, when the CBI gave a damning report on match fixing, the BCCI had an internal committee and banned 5 players. This time, what the Lodha committee report has done, if you look at it objectively, Rajdeep, is what the BCCI internal committee should have done. Lodha committee today has not used IPC. They have used BCCI's rules. They have used IPL. Yeah, and they've used the IPL's rules, which any free and fair IPL or BCCI committee should have done in the first place. But they didn't, because there is no free and fair BCCI committee right now. Now, the big question is, when Justice Lodha applies the, corporate governance rules and says that, do you have conflicts of interest? They should go away. How do you conduct your elections? They should go away. That time, they'll not be using BCCI rules. They'll be using rules of how the rest of the world functions, and the BCCI will try to protect it. It may lose this time. It may have bitten off more than it can chew. But to say that it will definitely happen is it will be a little simplistic, because the top politicians of this country are involved with the BCCI, and they will try to protect it.
That's precisely it, Boria. While you're sanguine and you believe that Justice Lodha will strike on the BCCI has links right to the very top. And in the government, Narendra Modi has been a former president of the Gujarat Cricket Association. Amit Shah, today the second most powerful person in the country, is also a member of the BCCI as president of Gujarat Cricket Association. Arun Jaitley has been a former vice president of the BCCI. Do you really believe that the BCCI will give up control, is actually ready to be more than just a private club today as a result of this one order?
Rajdeep, till yesterday, in fact this morning, till noon, if you went and spoke to every BCCI official, they would have told you it will be a fine and nothing more. They were sitting cozy. They have been rocked as a result of this verdict. They are now in a huddle. How many of you believe that 2 franchises will be suspended for 2 years? Kunal was referring to 2000. In 2000, there was no Justice Lodha committee appointed by the Supreme Court with extreme powers which are binding on the board. Yes, they have legal recourse, but that is a judicial process. These orders are to an extent binding on the board. And believe you me, they are operational from today. Forget that BCCI media release. What will they examine? They will examine what the operational part is binding from today. So, after somebody is hanged, will you go and examine the corpse?
They are already threatening to go. They are already threatening, and I'm going to come back to that later. They are already threatening to go to the Supreme Court. Chennai Super Kings is already threatening. Gopal Jain, do you see a case?
They can go anywhere.
Gopal Jain, do you see, as a Supreme Court senior lawyer, do you see a case for the Chennai Super Kings to go to the Supreme Court and say that natural justice has not been followed, or as they are saying in this case, just because an individual Gurunath Meiyappan is caught in betting, you cannot punish an entire team?
No, I think nobody can stop them from going, but I think they'll have a very weak case, because by the looks of it, as somebody said, the committee has only applied BCCI's code of conduct and the IPL rules, and has then given the quantum of punishment. So at the end of it, it's a just result which was vital and necessary, and only an independent committee could have enforced the rules rigorously as they have done. And since the Supreme Court had mandated the committee, any objection or challenge will go back to them. It would be very unlikely for the court to then say, listen, I will give you some relief in the teeth of what has been said by the committee. So I think the chances are very slim.
Shailendra Singh, before I take a break, let's be clear. Will advertisers support new franchises? Is that the way forward, that new franchises will come as a result of Chennai Super Kings and Rajasthan Royals going, or are sponsors going to be wary about identifying with IPL franchises today?
I think the fact of the matter is that Rajdeep, sponsors and everybody else believes in the company that you keep. And this point, I think, is very, very relevant, that accountability. I mean, I am also, Rajdeep, one small point on the legal issue is that with this particular report, why isn't BCCI being accountable? If this actually happened in the normal course of life in a company, the management of the company would be held responsible also for their action. How come BCCI is not being held accountable for all this situation? And the second point, the sponsors, investors, broadcasters, they only grow with faith and confidence. And this incident surely doesn't build that. I think they're really going to be on a shaky wicket, and BCCI is not doing much to build their confidence at this stage for sure.
Okay, let me take a break at this point. We're going to look at that. What happens to these IPL franchises? These are two of the marquee brands of the IPL, which is really India's biggest sporting event. Chennai Super Kings and Rajasthan Royals, if they are suspended, what then happens to their future and indeed the players, from Mahendra Singh Dhoni to a number of superstars in these teams? Can they move to other franchises? What really is the future of the IPL franchises? Special here on India Today on the big IPL verdict. The big question, of course, with Chennai Super Kings and Rajasthan Royals banned for 2 years each. What next for the two marquee brands of the Indian Premier League? Let's take that to the panel, but before that, it's a question I pose to Aryama Sundaram, senior lawyer and someone who's been the BCCI's counsel. Does he really believe that these two franchises can take their case to the courts of the country after the Justice Lodha verdict? Listen in. What is the possibility of the Chennai Super Kings players who are contracted to this franchise being made free agents? Is that only possible if the BCCI decides to have a fresh auction with two new teams emerging and decides to terminate Chennai Super Kings and Rajasthan Royals? Can the BCCI do that?
There is no stigma attached to the players at all. It would be open to the players to join any other team or join a new team based on what the BCCI decides can be done, whether they could either be taken in by other teams or two new teams can be brought in. There is no stigma, which is where I feel, Rajdeep, I am unable to understand that part of the, or agree with that part of the panel's judgment. Because according to me, I believe that when it is a purely individual misfeasance and individual action found of the given owners, visit any kind of penalty on the owners, but I do not see how an entity can be vicariously liable for the act of the owner.
Because it's there in the anti-corruption code. It's there very clearly in the anti-corruption code of the IPL. It's there in the code.
Can I complete what I'm saying, Rajdeep?
Yes.
What I'm trying to say is, as a point of law, while an individual can be held vicariously liable for the act of a juristic person because it has no individuality in it, it's a corporate house or something. So the individual behind the corporate house can be found to be the person responsible and therefore be held responsible for the transgression by the corporate house. But very rarely, if at all, I don't think I have ever come across a case where the act of an individual, unless the corporate entity itself has committed an offense, which itself is punishable on that corporate entity, can it be punished by way of vicarious liability? Now you are talking about the rules. Now I am saying anything which the franchisee does can result in various actions by the BCCI, which would arise out of the franchise agreement, which can include termination of the franchise, which can include termination of the franchise. But these are matters of action for breach of the contract of franchise. Now what we have here is a penalty being issued, is a penalty being imposed on that entity. It is one thing for the BCCI to say, look, I'm terminating the franchise agreement with you. I will not continue the franchise with you because there's a breach of the franchise agreement because you owners of this franchise have done something, or the people, team management, in this case Gurunath may not technically be an owner, he may be part of the team management or part of the team itself, the image of the face of the team. You have done something to bring it into disrepute and therefore I'm terminating your franchise agreement. But what we're talking about is something else. Here there is a penalty being imposed on a team. I can fully understand if the team itself, there was match fixing involved. If there were players on the team and the team itself as an entity, there had been issues where they had thrown matches or done something else. That would be a totally different issue.
So there you have Aryama Sundaram virtually suggesting that why are you punishing the players? You cannot punish the franchise if the franchise owner has been caught betting. Joining me at this moment is Nikhil Chopra, former India player, joins me in the studio. Also joining me, Gaurav Kalra, of ESPN Cricinfo, also joining me at this moment. Gaurav, do you believe that the players have been unfairly targeted in the process? Have they got caught in the crossfire, as some are suggesting? The Mahendra Singh Dhonis or the Suresh Rainas for CSK or the Ajinkya Rahanes for Rajasthan Royals? Why should their careers today, as far as the IPL is concerned, be on the line?
You know, Rajdeep, to a large extent, I don't think their careers are on the line. I think that over the course of the next few months, the BCCI will find a way out. Now, whether that means to rebid for the franchises of Chennai and Rajasthan, if they're allowed to do so, or stay clear of that and actually bring in two franchises from different parts of the country, I think they will work on formulas like that. It's very clear from everything we are picking up, Rajdeep, that there's not going to be a 6-team IPL. It will be an 8-team IPL. But I think that it was important what Justice Lodha said, and just bear me out for a half a minute. What he said at the end, in the conclusion, was once it is accepted that cricket is bigger than individuals or a body of individuals, then the financial loss that may be caused to a few players or franchisees may not be a significant consideration. What does that mean, Rajdeep? He's saying that these players, if so it happens that they are collateral damage, well, so be it for the betterment of the game, because the institution that was meant to actually ensure that the game was kept clean failed in that responsibility. It needed to have clamped down on Mr. Kundra and Mr. Meiyappan much earlier than it did, and made clumsy attempts that it did.
So if the BCCI fails, why should Mahendra Singh Dhoni be held responsible for the BCCI's failure? Why should he be held responsible for his team owner being involved in betting, for Raj Kundra being involved in betting?
I think that's the point Justice Lodha makes. That it's exactly the point that he makes, that it is unfortunate, it is collateral damage if that is to happen. However, keeping in mind the larger picture, just look at it from this point of view, Rajiv. Today, if Mr. Kundra and Mr. Meiyappan are out of the game forever, does it affect the game in any manner or form? It only cleanses it, it's gone. In the larger scheme of things, if the Chennai Super Kings and the Rajasthan Royals do not play 2 seasons of the IPL, is it the end of the world? It may not be. It will probably not be, because life goes on and there's things found for people who, none of these guys are going to be poverty-stricken. I think the point that Justice Lodha is making on the overall picture is that a sterner message needed to go out. Is that the institutional failure needed to be punished, and that punishment comes in the form of officials who abdicated their duty and in fact went well beyond what was permitted to bet on games. As a result, the consequence should be felt on their organizations. I see that there is a element of extremity here, but I think that the BCCI pushed itself into this corner.
I'm going to focus on the players for a moment, because I've seen this with football clubs. Juventus, this year's European finalists, they were banned for an extensive period, pushed down to a 3rd division, because their players were also reportedly, though, involved in fixing at the time. It wasn't just the club. Now the question, therefore, Nikhil Chopra, look at Mahendra Singh Dhoni. The fact is, according to reports, when he went and met Justice Mudgal, when the inquiry was going on, he also claimed Gurunath Meiyappan was not a team owner. He saw him also as a cricket fan. He did not know that Gurunath was a team principal. And maybe he was being accused of perjury, of not telling the truth. So the question is, should the players also be held accountable, or is it simply enough today to single out the owners? Are the players becoming collateral damage?
Well, on the face of it, maybe yes. But, you know, when you talk about Mahendra Singh Dhoni, is just one single entity. If you talk about the players, there are 58 or 59 other players apart from the other 2 teams. You're worried about Mahendra Singh Dhoni, Suresh Raina. I'm worried about people like Sanju Samson. Even if they're asked not to play the next 2 years and you still get paid, it's not the payment. It's the opportunity to go out there, rub shoulders with some of the world's best cricketers, and to go out there and showcase your talent and, you know, put a case out there to play for India.
You know,
that is a bigger thing.
No, the point though there, Boria, is that the likelihood is therefore that there will be 2 new franchises and these players will become free agents. In Juventus, the players themselves were found fixing. Here there is no evidence as yet, at least made public. We don't know if it exists, but at the moment it hasn't been made public that the players were involved in the fixing. Should they become accountable because Meiyappan was involved in betting, because Raj Kundra was involved in betting? Should they not become free agents and get an opportunity to play for another club?
They will perhaps. I mean, I agree with Gaurav. I mean, at one level you can think this is extreme, but the BCCI pushed themselves into a corner. But here I would definitely want to make a distinction about Mahendra Singh Dhoni. Because, you know, Aryama Sundaram, who you interviewed, I remember 29th of March had that heated argument with Harish Salve, when Harish Salve pointed out that Mahendra Singh Dhoni may have committed perjury. Sundaram said it was scurrilous, you know, these allegations are baseless, and then even that tape was asked from the Justice Mudgal Committee to be vetted by the Supreme Court. Clearly, Mahendra Singh Dhoni's stand was the same as India Cement stand. He was placing franchise interest far above the integrity of the Indian cricket captain. The sport of cricket, the spirit of cricket was sacrificed in front of India Cements. So if Mahendra Singh Dhoni pays collateral damage, so be it. As far as the other cricketers, they should be free agents, no problem. But please, if we single out Mahendra Singh Dhoni, you and I are doing justly, because in this case, Mahendra Singh Dhoni is justly implicated for his own actions.
You know, this is an important point there, Gopal Jain. Do you believe that the report of Justice Mudgal therefore should be made public? It's time to get out of this sealed envelope business. Let's make it public. Let's find out who are the other players. Where is the sealed envelope? Why is this under a sealed envelope? Lalit Modi claims that Kapil Sibal, then law minister or then minister in the government, didn't allow this report to be made public.
Well, absolutely. If you're looking at transparency and accountability, and the whole body of work is to be found in that report, then certainly the report should see the light of the day. Since the Justice Lodha Committee is now going to start the next leg of its journey, they will also have the benefit of that report when they look at, issues of conflict of interest and meting out punishment to others who are involved. So if the hard work has already been done, there's no reason to keep it hidden from public purview, because the idea is really to cleanse cricket and have a way forward which makes it, effective, functional, and restores the integrity and credibility to the game.
But in that sense, in that limited sense, if I may be allowed to use the word Shailendra Singh, are Gurunath, Meiyappan and Raj Kundra the soft targets? That they have been found as the targets in a way because Gurunath Meiyappan, son-in-law of Srinivasan, you've in one shot killed in a sense 2 birds, or a section of the BCCI has done it. What about the players? What about the accountability of the players? There are constant reports about spot fixing that have come out also in the past. Is it time for a greater, deeper investigation than just this 3-member committee report?
I think, Rajdeep, the very, very important point that you just brought up is that somehow somebody has practically molested the image of cricket. And now think about it. This has happened because the cricket was in the hands of BCCI. But somehow BCCI is not accountable. These 2 guys are in the dock now. Second question to be asked is that we've been discussing conflict of interest for 4 years. Mr. Srinivasan actually employed Mahendra Singh Dhoni. Mahendra Singh Dhoni took a job in India Cements with his complete consent. He was an employee of Mr. Srinivasan. So was the national selector at that time, Mr. Srikanth at that time. I mean, and then the same board president owned Chennai Super Kings. He ensured that Dhoni was the captain of all 3 disciplines and whatnot. And let's not forget the fact that also there was a rumor that Dhoni had a talent management company stake where he was representing Suresh Raina and other potential Ravindra Jadeja and other cricketers. Now, how much do we want out there to understand that this is not the way our cricket should be run in India? I mean, how long are we going to take it lying down? I think this is a great time to rewrite the constitution of BCCI and clean the mess once and for all, and let's get some clean cricket going.
The reason I'm asking this, a lot of hand-wringing is going on. The fact is, betting has existed for years, for decades. Now you found Meiyappan, you found Raj Kundra. Yes, they are owners. As per the anti-corruption code, an owner cannot engage in betting. But betting has gone on for a long time. It's the conflicts of interest. Will they really go, Kunal? Do you really believe the conflicts of interest will go? Where you are a BCCI member and you have other interests which could be directly colliding with your control of the BCCI. What about those interests? Are those ever going to be targeted or not?
See, Rajdeep, it is time for them to go. Whether they will,
including player interest. Let's be clear, and including even if it reaches right up to the level of a Mahendra Singh Dhoni, who was vice president of India Cements and was the captain of the Chennai Super Kings and is being accused of having taken the India Cements franchise line when he was approached by the judges.
And worse than that, Rajdeep, and rumoured to be a player talent agent. On top of everything else, while being captain of India, there were these strong allegations all over the place. I mean, nobody was ever talking about them, but they were there. So yes, it is time that these conflicts of interest go. But I think it's very simplistic to say that they will go, because the reason why the BCCI is the BCCI and why it is so powerful, why it attracts so many people, why it's so easy and so important for people to be a part of the BCCI is because these conflicts exist.
So it is an easy place. So should Justice Lodha and his committee then say that let's disband the BCCI. Let's have a completely fresh structure for the BCCI.
We should have an absolutely new BCCI. There has been the need for a new BCCI ever since cricket got professionalized 20 years ago, when money started coming in, when television rights started giving them billions of dollars. But we never got it, and if it doesn't happen now, it will never happen.
Gaurav, do you really believe this will happen? Do you really believe that the BCCI of this country will get professionalized? I have been trying for the last few hours to contact BCCI officials to come on record. Rajiv Shukla, IPL Chief Commissioner, doesn't want to speak. Anurag Thakur says wait till the 19th. You've got every BCCI official running scared literally today. What does that say about this organization and its commitment to professionalism and transparency?
Well, Rajdeep, that's not a surprise. I mean, if they don't want to talk to you, imagine the rest of us poor journalists trying to get in touch with one of these BCCI officials. However, that said, I think it's out of the hands of the BCCI now. That's been the biggest fallout of this entire exercise. And I sense there'll be some specifics that the Lodha panel will actually recommend. And given that they draw their power from the highest court of the land, they are going to have some, they are going to move forward in a more significant way than it's ever happened. I think elections, for instance, Rajdeep, in the way that they are structured, that every zone represents, gets to elect its president, 2 of those zonal members have to recommend a president. So let's assume that you have a member who wants to stand for elections and has 16 or 17 people on his side. However, 2 of the members from the zone that can recommend him cannot, do not do that, and as a result he cannot be in a contest. How did Mr. Srinivasan, after all these allegations, win an absolute majority, 29-0? Boria can correct me if I'm wrong, but 29-0 he won the election after the IPL allegations came through, after Mr. Meiyappan was in the dock. These are the institutional problem areas that will be tackled by Justice Lodha. I think he's shown his hand today, Rajdeep.
He's shown his hand.
He could have quite easily gone, right, fine for you, and Mr. Meiyappan and Mr. Kundra, please go away, and we are gone. No, he went much further than any of us anticipated. I'm not sure what your sources were telling me, Rajdeep, but I was completely caught cold on this story. I did not see this coming, that there would be 2-year ban.
Then they don't know who Justice Lodha is. He's also the 2G judge, and maybe that's the problem. Maybe they've been used to having their own judges and very convenient judges at times being appointed. Boria, therefore, do you believe, 30 seconds to you, and Shailendra, first to you, Boria, do you really believe, therefore, that the BCCI is over as we knew it? Today is the day when the BCCI has changed forever?
I have said that to you since afternoon. I believe in that. I have spoken to Justice Lodha, and I echo what Gaurav said. Till 1 p.m. the BCCI was like, oh, it's a fine. Forget about it. It's all hunky-dory. They've been caught cold. They are in a huddle. They know now that the writing is on the wall. The second phase will be far more damning than what you've seen. Sundar Raman and the BCCI. The writing is on the wall. See this as an opportunity. If you don't, then God knows what will hit you in the near future. You know,
I'm going to leave you though at the moment, Shailendra, and maybe you can quickly respond, very quickly. Raj Kundra has made a statement saying, today is a very depressing and sad day for me as my integrity has been questioned. So I have anyway washed my hands of cricket in India. I also find it unfair that the full team, the owners of Rajasthan Royal, have been so harshly treated. Do you believe there will be sympathy at all in the circles that you move in for the Raj Kundras and the Meiyappans, or is there no sympathy for these owners?
I think Raj, Guru, these are non-issues. I think there is no sympathy for BCCI anymore. And I think this is the voice of the nation. Rajdeep, the reason IPL succeeds, the reason all of us in our businesses succeed is because somebody consumes it. And the fans really want clean contest. And this time, they're not going to take it lying down. The cricket belongs to all the fans in the country. IPL belongs to all Indians, and they're going to protect it this time. So BCCI, watch out.
So no sympathy in Mumbai circles for your friend Shilpa Shetty.
No, I don't think even that Shilpa would like a compromise for the sport. She's a sporting human being, and she understands the consequences when a sport is compromised.
So she understands that her husband is seen to have compromised the sport. Okay, because you never know. Sometimes when page 3 comes on page 1, it's strange how sympathy moves in various directions. But today, clearly, the BCCI, as we are all saying, has been put on notice. I think that's the big message that has come out. Justice Lodha has shown that he is not a judge who can be pushed over. He is someone who has told the BCCI that it's time to end your private cozy club. Thank you all very much for joining us on this special. When we return, it's the news today at 9. It's the big cricket story and plenty more across India and the world. That's coming up. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.